From Studio K at Foxborough Cable Access.
Saffron is essentially the stamen of a rose.
Feeling creative?
Sage has a great flavor.
Is your palate needing a new challenge? Well, let's cook with Mike DiMascio.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Cook with Mike DiMascio. I'm here joined by Kevin Comellas once again. He's my executive sous chef at Flick at Fidelity at the World Trade Center. How's it going, Kevin?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. You have your gloves on. I didn't want to shake your hand. All right, today we have two great items we're going to do for you today. We're almost going to create a first and third course for you. First course being a salad that Kevin will explain.
All right, so it's a Belgian endive salad. I have here the ingredients: Belgian endive, some tarragon, broccoli sprouts, a orange bell pepper, some caramelized pistachios candied with some cinnamon sugar, some bijou goat cheese. I'm also doing some poached pears with a little poached pear syrup and some pickled shallots. So that's going to be the whole salad, just put together real nice, nicely plated.
Very good, and we'll go through those steps throughout the process. So today I'm going to be creating a chicken and pasta dish. I call it Chicken Lauren, after my wife. It's something that I kind of created at home. She loved it. We make it for her every once in a while. It's very simple ingredients, things that you should have at your house, but once you put it all together, it really comes out great. So we start off with some grilled chicken that we're going to do right here on our grill. Fresh basil. The sauce is a tomato and cream and Parmesan sauce with a hint of vodka. And it comes with onions and mushrooms, some nice baby bellows. And at the end, it really creates a nice dish, and we're going to top it with some grilled asparagus. So what we're going to do, cooking is a lot about timing. And since our time is limited here, we're going to be doing things simultaneously. I'm going to start with the things that take the longest for my dish, which would be making the sauce and grilling up the chicken and the portobello, because I am going to do a vegetarian version as well. And while we're doing that, Kevin's going to start on his salad. So I'm going to start with my sauce. It's very simple. We're going to start with about a cup of light cream and get this nice and hot.
Now what's important about the timing is that when you're making a dish, there's a lot of times when you're making it and you'll have friends over your house and you won't know what you're doing as far as timing, and then they're all ready to sit down and you don't have something ready, and that's when panic starts to happen.
Right.
So it's good to think ahead of time and just realize what's going to be done at the same time. So if you have something delicate like asparagus, that's going to be done very quickly versus the chickens, which is going to take a while. So you want to time it correctly so everything comes out nice and hot at the same time.
Exactly, yes. So the sauce is very simple. It is a cream, Parmesan, and a little bit of tomato sauce. And in another pan right over here, which is going to go into the sauce, I'll be slicing up the mushrooms, my onions, and tomato and fresh basil, and in the end we will be combining them together to create the sauce for the dish.
Yep.
So I'm going to keep going with the sauce and searing the chicken, and Kevin, you can start up with your salad.
All right, so here I have some Belgian endive. It's a beautiful lettuce. It's kind of oblong in shape. It's not very common, and it's very delicate. So when you have it, you need to keep it refrigerated because it'll start to brown very quickly. When you cut it, you want to cut it right when you're about to serve it. So don't have it pre-cut because, again, it's going to turn brown. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to cut them right down at the bottom and then just cut them into nice strips.
So back to me, I am now going to be grilling the chicken. I've already started with the sauce. The cream is in the pan. I've added about 6 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese to the 1 cup of light cream. Now there's different ways of thickening this sauce. You can use a roux, which will thicken it it's a flour and butter mixture. I like to do it naturally and slow with the cream, giving it time to reduce, and the Parmesan cheese will really bring it together nicely.
Absolutely, and when you're not using roux, it's healthier. When you put the flour and the butter in it, you're adding unneeded fat and unneeded calories. So if you just wait a little and you reduce it, you get the same exact results.
All right, that is cooking up fast. Very nice. Is there a particular cut you're using on your
Exactly.
endive?
So I'm going for a wide julienne on this lettuce. It's just going to look really nice when I stack it on the plate. I'm going to kind of organize them in a kind of a stack, almost like Jenga when I'm plating it. So this will give me the stability that I need. So when you have the lettuce, you'll have on the outside some brown edges. Always with any kind of lettuce, you want to remove the outer leaves, and that's going to give you the nice fresh stuff on the inside.
And I am about to slice my mushrooms and onions for the saute part of the dish. Once again, I like to cut the mushrooms. I like to cut off one of the edges, put it on the flat edge. Now you don't have a piece that's going to roll around. Again, a little bit of a safety message. I like doing fairly thick cuts. I love the taste of mushrooms, especially nice hearty mushrooms like the Baby Bello.
Absolutely.
We were asked before the show if we clean our mushrooms. You should definitely always clean your vegetables. With mushrooms, though, you don't want to oversaturate them, as they do become soggy and you lose a little bit of their nice robust flavor.
Best thing to do is to use a damp paper towel or a damp cloth and just kind of rub them around the edges and on the inside, so that way you're not, again, saturating them with water, and that's just going to remove the outer layer of dirt that's naturally occurring in the mushroom.
And I'm just using a basic slice cut here, nothing fancy. Just giving a uniformity to the mushrooms so they all look alike in the pan. Again, it is called culinary arts, so you want your plates to look nice and pretty when they're all done, whether you're cooking for just you and your family or a whole group of guests.
Absolutely. So here I have an orange bell pepper. You can use any kind of bell pepper you want. I just like the orange because, I mean, the color's unbelievable. It just really pops. So I'm going to do another julienne cut on this, but I want to go really thin because it's going to be eaten raw. So therefore you want to go as thin as possible because peppers can be a little chewy and crunchy.
Very good. And I'm going to take my onion here now, and I'm going to give it just a nice thin slice. Again, keeping as uniform as possible with all the cuts. Everything's sort of the same thickness. Again, for when it goes into the dish, it looks really nice. And again, you don't want to make all your vegetables or meats all the same type of cut. You don't want everything square. You don't want everything julienne. It's very good to have variety in the plate. Again, it's artwork. Make it look pretty.
Exactly. The key, though, is when you're cutting the same vegetable, you want to keep them the same sizes, because if you're, like you said, if you're cutting a pepper and one piece is, you know, the size of a quarter and the other's the size of a dime, it's going to cook unevenly, and you're going to have some soggy pieces and some crunchy pieces. So he's got really nice even cuts right there, which is nice.
I'm just throwing my asparagus here on the grill. Thank you. Smoke into my dish.
So I'm just going to add these bell peppers to the salad right now. And I'm kind of building it in this bowl so that I can toss it with the dressing, which I'm going to make in a minute. This way I can evenly coat it with the vinaigrette and therefore begin to plate it.
And I'm going to start continuing with the saute portion of my dish. I'm going to take this nice tomato, beautiful vine-ripe tomato, nice thin slices. This adds a little bit of color to the dish. Very nice.
So now I'm going to chop up this tarragon, which is going to go into my lemon tarragon dressing for the salad. It's a vinaigrette, very light, very easy to make.
Hi. Definitely want to make sure you hear my voice perfectly clear.
All right.
Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
So I'm going to give a nice chop to this tarragon. Get it nice and uniform and small so that it's evenly dispersed into my dressing.
And I'm going to work with my herb right now as well. I'm going to be working with the basil for the dish.
You going to do a chiffonade there,
I'm
Mike?
going to do a chiffonade. Yes, I am. So what I have done is I've taken all the nice big broad leaves. I've piled them on top of each other. And now I'm going to roll it up.
And if you saw our last show, that's a technique that Mike already taught us.
Yes.
So now he's just reusing it again.
Thank you. One of my
which is
favorite
great.
cuts for
Exactly.
herbs. And you get nice thin ribbon strips, which chiffonade means. There you go. And again, uniformity. Everything looks great. I'm going to add that to the saute in just a minute. How's your salad coming along, okay?
It's working. I'm about to slice my poached pears. So I started with some Danjou pears. I poached them in a mixture of pomegranate juice, red wine, sugar, cinnamon, some clove, some nutmeg, and just got a really nice wintry flavor out of it because it is very cold outside right now, and this is going to add some interest to it. And I also reduce that poaching liquid, and that's going to be a syrup that's going to create a nice color on the plate. It's really bright, deep red, and I'm going to use that as a garnish.
And I'm just adding some butter, everybody's favorite additive, to my sauce dish here. Gives it a little more creamy, brings out a lot of the flavor of the cheese and the light cream. Gives it a nice little glaze to the sauce as well. Mix that right in there. Chicken's coming along nicely.
So the key with the poached pears is you want to poach them in that liquid. You can really use almost anything you want. As far as wine's concerned, you can use red or white. Red gives you that nice color. Whatever spices you want. You always want to add sugar to sweeten it. And then you want to let the pear soak in that liquid after you've cooked it for about 30 minutes till it's fork tender overnight. And that's going to let it really absorb the flavor.
Very nice. So I'm going to start with my portobello. Again, one of my favorite mushroom, has great flavor. You can substitute a portobello mushroom for any steak dish if you're vegetarian. You see somebody at a barbecue putting a spice or a sauce on top of a piece of steak. You add it to a portobello, you get the same great flavor, the same great goodness. So the first thing I'm going to do is I like to hollow out the inside here.
So you're removing the gills from the inside of the mushroom.
Moving the gills.
Those can be the flavor can be a little overly earthy. So that's something a lot of chefs like to remove. It also creates a little bit nicer texture, just more uniformity, which is really nice.
It's very nice. Could you pass me the balsamic vinegar?
I would love to.
So I'm just going to rub a little balsamic on top of this.
So I'm adding I'm starting to build my vinaigrette. I have the tarragon in there. I'm going to add some lemon juice. Say about 3 tablespoons. All right. And a little Dijon mustard. This is called LeMay. This is one of my favorite brands. It's just nice, spicy, strong horseradish flavor. And you just want to use a little bit. It helps to emulsify the dressing. And it also just gives it a really nice flavor and an even consistency. So I'm going to use about 1 teaspoon.
A lot of great flavors in there.
Exactly.
All right, so I have my saute dish going here which is going to go with the sauce. I have my sauce simmering lightly. We don't want to overcook it. We don't want to get it too hot so the sauce breaks. My chicken is nearly done. I have my portobello mushroom grilling right now as well. So everything is working out perfectly with my timing. In a minute, I'm going to switch places here. I'm going to move my chicken and portobello over to the hot plate once they're done cooking. And I'm going to bring my saute dish to the middle here because I need the higher heat to start to saute, because when we add the vodka to the dish, there's going to be some fire.
Some fireworks.
Everybody get your
So
extinguishers ready.
So I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of honey to this, and that's going to create that sweetness. Oftentimes, when people try to make dressings at home, they forget to add an element of sweetness, and it just tastes really, really astringent and really sour. And that's not good eats.
No. Vinegar by itself is not a good flavor.
No.
I am doing an ultimate no-no for vegetarians in the audience. I am cooking my portobello with the chicken in the same pan. But
Constraints.
This is TV. We'll pretend there is a
Constraints.
barrier here. We'll pretend there's a split screen.
So I have some white balsamic vinegar as well. It's made differently than balsamic vinegar. It's not aged the way regular balsamic vinegar is, and they use white grapes instead. So it's really sweet. It almost tastes like a vinegary muscat wine, which is really nice. It's a lot lighter, and the flavor's a lot more versatile for doing, you know, lighter salads like this, so I really like it. I use it a lot. So I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of that as well.
And I am, as promised, going to switch my pans here. Going to put the chicken on top of my little warmer there. Put this back on top. Get my saute going.
So now I'm going to slowly whisk in some of the olive oil and finally create my vinaigrette.
And as you can see, the vinaigrettes are real easy to make. They're quick, they're delicious, they're much better than the store-bought bottled stuff that
Absolutely.
add preservatives. You have a nice natural vinaigrette here that can be topped with not only salads, you can use it as marinades for dishes. What kind of proteins could you use that on top?
This would actually be excellent on a nice light white fish. If you're going to cook and sear the fish, just do it about 30 minutes before, because if you over marinate fish, it gets really tough and it actually starts to cook on its own. And it's also, it can make a great sauce for the fish dish as well.
So good, cross-utilization of your products here.
So I have my vinaigrette. The only thing it needs now is a little salt and pepper. And I'm actually going to pour in a tiny bit of the poached pear syrup that I made. I took the liquid that I poached the pears in, and I reduced it till it became a nice thick syrup, which is because of the sugar that's in it.
All right, I'm getting a nice sizzle here with my vegetables. So I'm going to add the vodka. Now, if I was using this at home on my gas stove, you do want to take caution. Vodka is flammable. So we're going to put it in here.
And now
let that reduce.
And now the party's starting.
Right. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to get that lighter, and so we can have a little bit of fire. Go ahead,
All
take
right.
it away from that.
So my vinaigrette's essentially ready. I want to taste it now, though, because there's a lot of factors that can occur. I may have put a little more vinegar than I wanted to. It may not be quite sweet enough. So when you're making something like a sauce or a vinaigrette, you always want to taste it. So I have a spoon ready, and we're going to see where I'm at. So it's still a little too vinegary. So at that point, I know I said I put about a tablespoon of honey. I'm going to put a little bit more in there. All right. So that's looking nice, Mike.
Yes, I'm waiting for the lighter.
All right, and you got your cream sauce going. It looks very delicious. Awesome.
And I'm getting pretty close to plating up my dish. How about yours?
I'm very close. I have my vinaigrette all ready. Here I have my pickled shallots. Basically, I took some shallots, I thinly sliced them, and I pickled them with some red wine, a little vinegar, some red wine, a little salt, a little pepper, some pickling spice, which you can find at the grocery store, and some sugar, which creates a little sweetness. And pickling's really easy. You see it a lot at fine dining restaurants, and it can be a little overwhelming to the home cook. You've heard pickling, you think, oh, I can't do that myself, but it's really easy. It took me about 5 minutes to do. You just cut it, heat up the vinegar, soak the shallots in it, and then they're pickled. That's it.
Easy.
And then I also have my candied pistachios, which I talked about earlier. Basically, I took some pistachios, I tossed them with some cinnamon sugar, the already mixed stuff you can get at the store. There's some egg white in there, which actually creates the binding, and then some salt and pepper, and then I roasted it in the oven at 350 and created the nice caramelization, and then tossed it again with some more cinnamon sugar. And now I'm ready to plate.
All right. Very good. I am going to add my cooked vegetables with the reduced vodka into the cream sauce. Mix this up nice. So you can see there's a lot of color. In with the cream sauce.
I'm going to toss my salad now, put the vinaigrette in with the vegetables that I've already cut up, the lettuce and the peppers, and then just get that nicely evenly coated. But I want to save a little bit so I can create a drizzle on the plate when I'm done.
So for my plating purposes, I'm going to heat up my pasta in a separate dish. It's already pre-cooked pasta. I lightly coated it with olive oil so that it will heat up a little easier for me. That's a nice penne pasta.
Beautiful, Mike. Looks like you cooked that absolutely perfectly.
Now I'm going to add some of my seasonings to the sauce here. So the first thing I'm going to add is the chiffonade of basil. Again, more color, makes it look delicious. And the secret that my wife really got a kick out of this, literally, is that I like to add the crushed red pepper flakes. I'm putting here probably about a half a teaspoon in with this sauce, and what we're going to be feeding here is probably about 4 to 6 people.
Exactly.
So this is going to give it a little zing to the dish. Not too much so that it's overpowering, but enough so that you can taste it. And a nice hot pepper brings out a lot of the other flavors as well in the dish.
So if you can see, I've created this, already starting, I'm not quite done, but I have this nice stack, this nice Jenga that I made with the lettuce, and it looks really interesting. This is something you see a lot in restaurants.
All right, and I'm going to get my 2 serving plates, because I am going to have a vegetarian and a non-vegetarian for us carnivores.
So I'm also going to cut my goat cheese, which I have right here. I'm going to cut it into nice thin medallions, and that's going to go onto the salad as well. This is a Vermont creamery goat cheese. It's called Bijou. It comes in 2 little, I call them bonnets or thimbles of goat cheese, and the flavor is unbelievable. This is one of my favorite goat cheeses in the world.
All right, so I'm ready to plate my dish.
All right.
So if you were going over to Kevin's house for dinner tonight, and you sat down at the table and had this gorgeous salad, so you can see you don't have to be a talented chef like Kevin here to make something like that. It just takes a little creativity and a little patience to make sure it looks right.
The last thing, the final touch, these are broccoli sprouts. They're basically small, almost like micro broccoli. And they take the sprouts and they pick it. And what's great about it is it looks really funky on the plate, but it tastes like you're biting into a piece of broccoli. It's really awesome.
Nice. And a great little garni for the top of the salad.
Exactly.
All right, and I'm going to be putting my pasta on the plate. Again, a few extra seconds of plating things to make them look nice makes a big difference in the presentation. As you can see, both Kevin and I like to put things right in the middle of the plate. And then as the dish settles, it will spread out throughout the whole portion of the plate. So there is my base. I'm going to split my sauces. I'm going to put a little bit first with the bottom of the dish.
How's that coming, Mike? Looks
great.
good, man. It really does.
Looks great. Then I'm going to take the chicken, put the pieces of chicken. Now obviously if you go outside and use your grill for this dish, you can have nice pieces of grilled chicken on top of there. And then for the
Vegetarian
dish,
I gotta say, this is the kind of stuff you see in the North End, Mike. This is nice.
Thank you.
Good job.
I'm just going to make this look pretty, so I'm just going to do a little cut on this.
Oh, that's great. Now you got that same kind of plate, just vegetarian.
Just vegetarian. And a little bit on the top. I could sauce it all over my
All
spoon.
right.
A little bit here. And then one of my favorite vegetables is the asparagus, which I've been lightly grilling on the other side of the skillet there.
Excellent.
There you go. And then, of course,
The cheese, right?
cheese on top.
Now what's great about this, some people like a lot of sauce, some people like a little bit of sauce, so it's completely customizable. You know, the more
Absolutely.
sauce, the heavier. Depends on what you're in the mood for, but it looks great, Mike.
Excellent. So there we have it. I have my chicken Lauren. It's a penne pasta with a vodka cream sauce, onions and mushrooms, and sliced tomatoes into the sauce, topped with grilled chicken, or vegetarian style is the portobello mushroom. And Kevin?
I have my salad, the Belgian endive, with the candied pistachios, some poached pears, little broccoli sprouts on top, orange bell peppers, and the lemon thyme vinaigrette. Looks amazing, not hard at all.
Very good. Hey, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode of Let's Cook with Mike DiMascio. We'll be back with another episode very shortly. We're going to come back in our Hawaiian shirts, and we're going to show you a nice, easy smoothie drink to have in the middle of winter to make you think it's the middle of summer. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. We'll see you next time on Let's Cook.
La 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 la.